Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to tonight's webinar. So tonight we're going to be discussing how to build your investment dream team and accomplish more with leverage. And just to lay off a few ground rules before we get started, if you have any questions at all during the presentation, please go ahead and type them in the chat. We're going to have a section near the end where we will get to them in the order received. And also, I wanted to say hello to our Facebook audience as well. And if you have any questions on there, then definitely leave a comment and then we'll get to those in the order received as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Please allow me to introduce the man who's responsible for all of this, for going out of his way and being willing to help any person that he can, whether it is through real estate or just in general. He never lets any obstacles get in his way. And he knows a lot about real estate. He's probably the real estate guru, to be honest, but yeah. But the best thing I can definitely say, he's very down to earth. So please welcome Mr. Jan Lam. Jan, are you there?
I am. Nicholas, thank you very much for the warm introduction, and thank you very much for attending tonight's free webinar. And this is one of my favorite topics, guys, because to be successful in any business, you got to have a successful team, okay? So for those who don't know me, my name is Jan Lam. I've been investing in real estate for over 10 years now. I started off part-time while still working my full-time job as an engineer as a federal contractor. I have a master's degree in aerospace engineering, but I'm not using any of that education in my real estate investing career. Within 2.5 years of doing real estate part-time, I was able to replace my full-time job and have been doing this full-time ever since then. And I tell you, it's been a true blessing because we've been able to not only get a lot of deals done to increase our portfolio, but along the way, as we do events like this and outreach, we've helped a lot of people be able to do their first deal, second deal, third deals as well. So I'm very excited about that. Someone was able to reach back and help me. And so we're creating an outreach program for us to help reach back and help others as well and create a win-win situation between us and that person. So let's get right into tonight's topic, which is building your real estate dream team, okay? So first of all, as you're building a business, you have to ask yourself, why do you want to have a team mindset? Why not do it all on your own so you can save money? And you have to wait around for someone and depending on them, on their schedule to get things done. Well, here's the reason why, all right? So if you think about it, any kind of business, whether it be a job, small business, real estate, a big business, or investing, there are 4 ways to make income, all right? Income means the stuff that you produce. Income and currency and money that you're coming into you as income. Well, one way to earn income is being an employee, all right? On the upper left quadrant, employees can make money as well, and they have certain core values. See, every area of income that you're going to make, in order to make income there in a high amount, you have to have certain core values, okay? Employees have the core value of looking for safety, security, and benefits. That's what employees look for. When they go on an interview, their first questions are, what are my benefits? How much am I getting paid? And it's safe and secure, all right? Am I going to get laid off? Is there job security? Is it long-term or is it short-term? That's what most schools teach employees to do when they go on a job interview, all right? And then you have the second set of people in the lower left corner who are self-employed. These are people who are out on their own. They have a small business, such as a small practice like a doctor's office or an attorney or something of that sort, or maybe an insurance agent, all right? And these people own their own job, all right? They still have a job, but they really own it. So there's no boss that tells them what to do. They are their own boss. And their core value is that if you want to get it done right, you do it yourself. And so they don't like working with a team because they believe they're better than everybody else. They're perfectionists, and they don't believe anyone can get it right other than them. That's why they're solo. They do it on their own without a team. All right. And then you have people in the upper right side, and this is where you want to be, okay? This is the business owners, big business owners who own their own system. The core values of these people is that they focus on team, a network, systems, and also getting a lot of leverage from different aspects. It could be financial leverage or leverage of other people's time. Notice the first one was team. In order to achieve big business results, you got to have a team. There's no way you can build a Walmart or an Amazon or a SpaceX or a Microsoft by yourself. You got to have a team, okay? So big businesses have a team in place. All right, and the last quadrant in the lower right side are the investors, all right? The core values of these people is if they've made a lot of money in the quadrant of the business or small business or even an employee, they can now have that money they've already made work for themselves, and the money works for them like any other employee, okay? So those are the people who are investors. So let's focus on the business quadrant, okay? Because we're focused on team. So who should be on your team when you're building your real estate empire, all right? First of all, you got to have a good legal team. Your attorney, are they going to draft up your corporate docs, your operating agreement? Are they going to protect you in case there's a litigation process? Are they going to help you with preventative measures so that way people can't reach you, and also provide you with good strategies on asset protection? What are they doing for you? And these people, real estate investors generally start thinking about having a good lawyer on their team generally after the second, third deal, and they've already made some good money. And the first deal, you haven't made money yet. So, that's probably on the bucket list of things to do. That's very low priority. But once you've done a couple of deals, you definitely want to have a good attorney on your team. Someone who understands the real estate business. Obviously, you're in the business of real estate, and you don't want to hire a lawyer that does criminal law, all right, or divorce law, because that's not your business. Your business is real estate. They got to understand how to protect your assets and also strategize your expansion, especially if you're in the DMV area. What do you need to do to protect yourself in the states of Virginia, DC, and also Maryland, all right? Preparing your docs and also estate planning. We want people who are willing to fight for us. See, there's a lot of lawyers out there who say, you know what, if you do this and you pay this, you can settle it and then you're fine. That's just an easy way, another way of saying they're lazy to fight it for you. Just pay this and you're done. And then, you settle with the other party. You still pay your lawyer for doing that, but then you feel like you lost because you settled, okay? If you're in the right, you want someone who's willing to fight. Even though it's an uphill battle and you're in the right, you want someone who's willing to fight to make sure that justice has been served in that civil case, all right? So you also want to have a lawyer on your case. So let me give you an example of what we had. Okay, we had this property on 6835 Lamppost Lane, Alexandria, Virginia, under contract several years ago. And this is the contract that we had with the seller. It was ratified, and it was going through a short sale process that took 9 months. The short sale was approved. We gave a $3,000 escrow to the title agent as part of our contract. Well, while the short sale was being approved and waiting for settlement, the seller, who was the only party who owned the property, ended up passing away, unfortunately. All right. We've attempted to reach out to the executor of the estate to sign on their behalf. They did not want to do anything with any legal aspects of that property. All right. Settlement obviously could not happen. We wanted the deposit back because we couldn't buy the property anyways. Yet the title agent, the escrow agent, refused to return it to us. They said, well, we can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. All right. And even though I can argue with them till I'm blue in the face, and I could be in the right all day long, they were still the one holding my money hostage. So what did I do? I contacted my lawyer. They made a phone call. 5 minutes later, my lawyer called me back and asked me to come by the title company that afternoon to pick up my check. All right. I don't know what was discussed. I asked him, say, hey, you don't need to worry about it. Just go pick up your check. And I don't need to know, because a lawyer's influence is a lot more than Joe Schmo like myself. All right. They have the power to scare people on a legal aspect because they can easily sue them in the right, and they don't want a lawsuit on their hand. So to prevent the lawsuit, they might as well go ahead and do what's right and then issue the check and then part ways amicably. Okay. So they were able to, when I went there, it was very nice that the title agent, the title company's owner, they came out to apologize for the whole situation, gave me the check, and they hope we would do business with them in the future. Well, because of that mistake, I obviously haven't come back, but it was a nice gesture because of that 5-minute conversation from my attorney. All right. Who else should be on your team? Well, you definitely want a good CPA, certified public accountant. And should you look for a CPA from the get-go? The answer is probably not, because you're still looking for your first deal. You haven't made any money yet, and you're still trying to figure things out. Wait till you get a profit mode, so that way you can now afford a CPA that's good and certified in the area of tax expertise that you need, which is real estate. All right. They got to know business tax law. They got to know what's deductible, what's not deductible. They got to know what's depreciable and what's not depreciable. They also got to know what they can segregate, what they can't segregate for your business. So that way you can reduce your tax liability legally. Remember, the number one most expensive expense are your taxes, and you might as well reduce your tax liability by having a strategy of doing it properly through your CPA. You also want someone who's organized and very responsive, because if they have a lot of clients and they forget your case, things may be very complicated because they may confuse your case with somebody else. All right, that you definitely don't want that to happen. Who else do you want to be on your team? A very good real estate agent, an investor-friendly one, all right? Someone who can get top dollar for the sale of your renovated house or your rental property or something of that nature that you need to get sold. Investor friendly, meaning that they're willing to give you a discount because you give them value. Someone who's possibility focused and not, someone who's, well, you can't do this, and they say can't all day long. I don't want to hear someone who's can't. I want to hear someone who say, well, this can be done if we do this, this, and that. All right. I want to hear possibilities and options to get to where we want to be. All right. Someone who actually does their own marketing and lead generation. So that way, if they end up finding a motivated seller, perhaps they can set up a pocket listing between you and that agent, and then they can get the listing from you later on as they sell it. So you can get a possible deal. Someone's experienced at assessing value. So that way, when you get your ARV, your after repair value, you can get a second opinion from them to make sure you're in the ballpark and you didn't mess anything up. All right. And also someone who's looking out for you and not looking out for their own commission. I tell you guys, I've worked with a lot of different agents in my days, and I found some people don't really care about you. They just care about their commission check. That's not who you want on your team. You want someone who wants you to succeed because they know if you succeed, they succeed. And if you fail, then you end up failing, and you can't give them value of business down the road because you failed. All right. So you want someone who's looking out for you. All right. Here's an example. Property in the Manassas that we renovated, we fixed and flipped. All right. We purchased for $200,000. We renovated at $56,000. And our agent did some comps and found that, comps were very far and few in between. And the only comps that were available were houses that were 40 years older than the subject house. So we went ahead and listed that per his advice at $399,000, but he did indicate that we might get multiple offers, and that's what we want. So he did that. We received 3 offers within 24 hours, all above list price. All right. And because it's above list price and comps were far and few in between, you got to have an agent who knows how to work with the appraiser, someone who understands value and not just looking at comps that don't make sense. All right. Because we want an appraisal that appraises at the contract price, so we don't miss out on anything from the actual sales contract. Someone who's good with working with the home inspector, so that way that doesn't, anything that's found in the home inspection does not scare off the buyer along the way. All right. We ended up selling this property at $417,750. So we sold above list price, and that agent did a very, very good job. All right. Who else should be on your team? Definitely a title company. You'll be transacting real estate through a title company. Whether you do a rental, a fix and flip, a wholesale, or any kind of real estate transaction, you need a title company. Someone who's investor friendly. Someone who understands contract assignment in case you're doing wholesale. Someone who understands the right title insurance that you need to protect yourself in case there are some instances of liens and other issues with the seller in the past. All right. And someone who also understands how to work with your hard money lender and getting the right docs in order and the right lender's title insurance in order to make sure that lender is happy. All right. They want to do a thorough title review to make sure that you can sell the property once you're done, whether it be next year, next month, or 10 years from now. They want to make sure that everything's in order, that you have no problem selling the house later on down the road, making sure the title is marketable, conveyable, and insurable. All right. Also, some title companies have access to potential deals for you. They have access to real estate properties that have been past due on their mortgage for the past 90 days, 120 days, 180 days that they can possibly give to you. And as an exclusive agreement that you get a deal from their lead, then you can go ahead and settle with them. So that way they can make money from the actual closing of that property. And obviously you want someone who's responsive and not someone who's sitting there, you send an email wondering where that email went. Okay. In addition to that, guys, who else should be in your team? You want to have a good private lender. All right. Private lender who's cash plentiful and they can close fast, because most of the deals that you'll be working with are with motivated sellers who need to sell their house quickly because they're very motivated and they're willing to sell at a discount because you have cash available to be able to close quickly and not need an appraisal, not need a mortgage underwriting, or not need anything else that will delay closing. Traditionally, real estate closes between 30 and 45 days. But if you can close in 2 weeks or less, that gives value to the seller who's willing to sell at a discount if you can close faster than the normal person. All right. They got to have the ability to close quickly and can be good at giving you a second opinion on the ARV. So that way you don't, if you can cross-check your work to make sure the numbers are in the ballpark. All right. Private lender. All right. Next is traditional lender. All right. A traditional lender is someone who is a normal bank. See, private lenders can be quick, but they're also very expensive. But a traditional lender is cheaper, but they take a lot longer. So if you have the right credit, if you have the right tax returns, if you have the right, personal financial statement where, it will please the traditional lender, you can go with them, especially if your seller has time to wait. They can't wait for 30 days or 45 days for you to get a regular mortgage. So there are traditional lenders out there who specifically help people who fix and flip and also buy and hold, but they take longer to close. And they're much cheaper, but they take longer to close. Okay, so they're going to look for things like your debt to income ratio. If it's a rental property, they're going to look for a debt service coverage ratio. If it's a fix and flip, they're probably going to look at loan to cost and what your contractor's estimates are and so forth. So you want to work with someone who's, what I would recommend, it would be a community bank where you can easily get access to someone by text, by phone, without waiting on hold and listening to elevator music, okay? A traditional lender is also great to have on your team. In addition to that, private investors. Obviously, I hope that everyone here on this webinar does not have a goal to just do one deal, but instead do multiple deals. In order to do multiple deals and not be constrained with your own resources, you got to have access to private investors, access to capital that's beyond what you currently have in the bank. All right. So if you have access to 10 people with $50,000, that's $500,000. Combine that with your hard money loan, and assuming you only need $50,000 of a down payment for each deal, that means you can do 10 deals simultaneously. All right. But you can't do that unless you have the ability to raise capital and have access to private investors. You want to get access to those who are cash plentiful, who want to earn a stronger return in real estate than they are in their savings account or their 401k, and someone who's easy to work with. So let's say right now someone has $100,000 in the bank and they're only earning 0.5% per year of interest. Well, you went to them and say, hey, listen, I can increase your interest by 10 times by giving you 5%. Will they be excited? Why not? It's 10 times more they would have made in the bank. Well, how would they feel comfortable? You got to make sure that they know that that money is being used for real estate. And when that real estate is sold, that principal comes back with a return. So you got to make sure they feel safe on where that money is going. And real estate's always been the safest bet, which is why banks are willing to loan against real estate, but they're not willing to loan for stocks or mutual funds. All right. Who else should be on your team? All right. So whether you're doing wholesaling or buy and hold or fix and flip, you got to have a good general contractor. All right. Now, why a good general contractor? The reason why is because general contractors can work on a deal and manage the whole thing without your presence. And working with one person is much easier than working with 10 other people doing the actual project. And now you have to manage a project, which takes your time away from finding the next deal. A general contractor is more expensive, but it saves you so much time because they do everything for you with their crew. All right. You got to have a general contractor on your team that understands what sells in that neighborhood where your subject property is. They got to be up to date on the county residential building codes and have a strong relationship with county inspectors. So that way, when the inspection comes, then they can easily talk to the inspector, and the inspector can feel that this person knows what they're talking about and pass inspections without nitpicking all the little things because they seem new. They got to have a strong crew, be able to do it fast and also do it right. And it's best to get referred to a contractor by another investor who's used them very often and very successfully. The last thing you want to do is look on Home Advisor or Angie's List because there's no base of reference for what they have done for investors. You're looking for an investor-friendly general contractor, all right? Next, let's go through a couple of examples of what a general contractor should know. A general contractor should know what's the difference between rental grade and resale grade is, all right? Similar size house, but you see here rental grade, you have white appliances, you have regular builder grade cabinets that was just painted, that was actually there already, and then just very cheap countertops because it was rental grade. Also, it's not a deep sink, and there's no garbage disposal unit in the sink because the garbage disposal unit is the first maintenance cost when it comes to a rental unit, okay? They know that, which is why they want to prevent maintenance costs for you as a buy and hold investor. But in order to sell it at a high price, you got to have new everything. So in the other example, resale grade, you'll notice here that there's brand new cabinets with crown molding all the way up to the ceiling, 42 inches, with a backsplash, with granite countertops, and also stainless steel appliances with an open concept floor plan. Tile floors, hardwood floors, recessed lights, those are the things you would do for a resale grade type renovation. And you want a contractor who understands how to do that. Okay? Moving on, here's another example. Let's take a look at the exterior. All right, this is an example of a contractor who knows what to do to increase curb appeal for you to sell the property. This is a semi-detached house in DC, and you notice that it's made of brick. It's in the corner, but yet there's a tree that really disturbs the curb appeal. The first thing the contractor did was chop down that tree and get rid of it. All right, so this is a picture of after. They painted the brick. Doesn't cost much to paint the brick. They installed a new door. They made it red, make it stand out, and install new lighting, new landscaping, and remove that ugly tree in the front. And now it looks like a brand new house and makes it look very, very sharp to resell. All right. They also paint the stairs along the way to make it look fresh again. So that way, when a new homeowner comes in, they get excited about the smell of fresh paint and the fresh look that they have based on that renovation. Looks like a new house, even though it's not. Okay. Here's another example. All right. Here's the living room of that same exact house. There's a lot of junk in it. And there's also a wall that separates between the dining room where the ceiling fan is and the kitchen, which is on the other side. All right. They took that same room, and this is what it looks like afterwards. The same exact wall was knocked down, and they installed an open concept kitchen to where they have overhanging countertops that look into the dining room / living room from the kitchen to make it look very nice. Okay. And that's a different angle from the other side, from that kitchen. Stainless steel appliances. Now, the space was very limited here, so we had to install a smaller refrigerator. But regardless, we were able to fit a very functional kitchen in the small space that we had. Recessed lights everywhere, pendant lights, deep sink, stainless steel brushed nickel plumbing fixtures, looking very sharp here, and hardwood floors as well. All right, who else should be on your team? You want to have a good insurance broker. All right. When you're doing fix and flip or buy and hold, you need to have insurance policy. So you have someone who understands the protection that you need as a rehabber, fix and flipper, or a buy and hold investor. You got to have someone who's accessible by phone or by email, so that way they can easily keep a quote on what benefits you'll get and coverage you'll be getting for that particular property. So that way you can be ready for closing. And if there's a claim, such as a vandalism, a break-in, or a weather damage or whatnot, you want someone who can help you with the claim, so that way you can get that stuff fixed and that property based on the damage that will result in. Someone can quickly prepare a quote and also the binder certificate for closing, and also add the hard money lender if needed. You also want a good stager on your team. So that way, if it is not a seller's market like it is today, and it's more a buyer's market, you want to make your listing stand out compared to the competition. And the best way to do that is to have good staging, okay? Someone who understands how to design things traditionally, contemporarily, or modern, depending on the neighborhood. They should have furniture and props available already without having to rent it, so that way they can pull it out of their warehouse and get things done very quickly. So here's an example of what a staged property looks like. Now, this property was staged more traditionally because most of the neighborhood had traditional furniture, traditional cabinets, traditional everything, all right? So you'll see they have a nice rug. They'll have wall arts. They have props on the tables and coffee tables and couches and pillows, and everything matches in the color that contrasts well with the hardwood, okay? If you take a look at the rest of the staging, all right, this is the bathroom. All right, the master bathroom, they have nice towels. They have, things that match with the vanities and also the ceramic tile along with the painting. So everything contrasts very well and it doesn't look out of place, okay? Now, for those who are buy and hold investors, you definitely want to have a good property manager on your team, someone who understands how to pre-screen quality tenants who will pay and who can get through the lease without any kind of issues. We generally like low maintenance tenants who pay on time. But I say low maintenance is that they don't call for every little thing, okay? Now, if the toilet's not working, that's understandable. But if the light bulb's broken, we don't want them to call for a light bulb. We expect them to change it on their own. We want someone who's not picky and who's willing to pay on time without causing any damage and want their security deposit back, all right? We want to someone who minimizes landlord involvement and can provide eviction services if needed. So if someone is not paying rent and they are in default, they have to do the 5-day pay or quit very quickly, so that way they can start the eviction process. And it's different in every county. So you want to make sure you say property manager who understands the eviction process and landlord-tenant laws in that state and in the county on how the court process works for landlord-tenant issues. Okay? Here's an example. We had what I call a BRRRR strategy, which stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance. Okay, BRRR. We purchased this property in Woodbridge, Virginia for $115,000. We renovated it for $23,000 with rental grade materials. It appraised at $215,000. We hired a property manager to place a tenant and manage the rent collection. It rented at $1,650 per month. After all expenses and after debt service and HOA fees, real estate tax, and insurance, we were cash flowing $300 per month for this unit. All right, and it appraised at $215,000, but we only put in roughly $145,000 or so. So we had an instant equity of $70,000. So that means that once we place the tenant, refinance it out, we got all the money back, no money was in it, we were cash flowing $300 a month, $3,600 per year with no money in, meaning our return on investment was infinite, all right? Because we didn't have any money inside it, so return on investment was infinite, plus we had an increase in net worth of $70,000, all right? So the property manager took care of all that, and we never went to the property after the renovation was done. The property manager took care of everything afterwards. All right. Who else should be on your team? Well, why not other real estate investors? Why should you involve your competition? All right. Well, here's why. Because sometimes you may have deals that you need help with, and you want someone who's willing and able to be a willing partner, or maybe someone who's willing to buy a wholesale from you, or maybe it's willing to share their knowledge because they're not greedy. All right. So those are the people that I continue to stay in touch with, and we exchange deals and referrals all the time. In addition to that, they're easy potential end buyers for your wholesale deals. And if they have a deal they don't want to do, they potentially wholesale to us. So we swap businesses back and forth all day long to other real estate investors. So make sure you build a network of other real estate investors as well. Okay. So what kind of core values do you look for when you have people on your dream team? Well, you want someone obviously with integrity. By what I mean by that is not whether you're going to lie to me or not. Yes, that's important too, to be truthful and honest, but someone who's willing to do the right thing, even though it's not the easiest path to take. I've chosen in my career, and early on, I've had the unfortunate experience of choosing wrong people on my team because they lacked integrity. It was their responsibility. It was their fault that they messed up, but they did not take responsibility. Instead, they shifted the blame to something else, and that didn't help me at all. That's the people that you don't want on your team. You want someone who has integrity and willing to do the right thing, even though it's not the easiest thing to do. You can find this out very quickly once you get to know someone in a conversation on different things they have done in the past on how they've handled problems. Do they run away and blame, or they hone up to that error and take responsibility to fix it because it's the right thing to do? Also, someone who's not greedy, but instead generous. All right. Generosity is very important because, we believe that if you give more, we receive more. All right. If you give more, and not saying just monetary, but give your time or give your help or give your expertise or give something, give knowledge, give information, give something, and then help someone in distress. So that way they can be helped. And in the great ways of the universe, when you help other people genuinely and authentically, those things come back as blessings for you guys as well. Some other core commitments, core values will be committed. They don't quit at the first sign of trouble. They're committed to seeing the process to the end and not quitting in the middle because it got hard. All right. Someone who's willing to look at a win-win situation and willing to communicate very regularly and very clearly. Someone who's organized and have a positive can-do attitude. And also a responsible risk taker. Every business has risks, but are they responsible at managing the risk that they're taking with you along the way? If they are, great. I would love to have them on the team so that way we can manage those risks together responsibly. All right. Now, what happens, guys, if you have a member on your team who falls short of these values, which I did? All right. I've had a number of people on my team that fell short along the way. So what happens when that happens? What should you do? Well, I'll tell you, it's not easy to do, but you got to do it. Okay. So if you can't change the people around you, then guess what? Change the people around you. All right. Be willing to fire. Now, be willing also to give people a second chance. But if they fail again, 2 strikes, you're out. Okay. You're out after 2 strikes, and you want to go ahead because you have an obligation to look out for your business as well. And you are not running a charity. You are running a business. In order for a business to make a profit, you got to be responsible with the team members who help you earn those profits on your dream team. Okay. So with that, guys, I want to let you guys know that along the way in the last 10 years, we have grown a lot. And we have found that when we control certain aspects of our project, we can be much more successful. And we're very focused on a niche for investors only. So we actually have a construction company as well. So for those who are interested in getting a quote or an estimate for one of your projects, whether it be a buy and hold or a fix and flip, and this is designed for investors only, feel free to send us an email and we can send someone out to get a quote for you. All right. In addition to that, if you guys are looking to raise money and your lenders give you 80% loan to cost, but you don't have the 20%, we have a small capital company as well that's willing to take the risk if the numbers work to loan an additional 15% loan to cost. So that way you only need 5%. Okay. And a lot of times you need approval from your first hard money lender. But regardless, guys, you'll be able to hone up to more leverage and by only having 5% available. But again, the numbers must meet the criteria they were looking for, but we have that option available in case you're falling short on raising capital. All right. So for more information on capital or construction, be sure to email us at info@nhanlamacademy.com, and we'll be sure to direct that message to the right people on our staff to get you what you guys need. So with that, guys, the next slide now are to address any questions, okay? So I'm going to open the mic back up to Nicholas here. You have any questions, feel free to type it into the chat, and then Nicholas can go ahead and recite them to address those questions here tonight. Any questions tonight? Nicholas, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. Are there any questions?
It doesn't look like we have any questions.
Okay, so out of that, I must have done a very good job explaining everything, okay? But if someone is typing, we'll go ahead and delay it for a little bit. We'll see if there's any questions out there. We definitely want to give you guys a chance to ask questions so that we can get it right here, right now, okay? But I tell you guys, you've heard this before, it's cliche, team, T-E-A-M, together everyone achieves more, right? And that's true, but you got to have the right people. Not everyone, but you got to have the right everyone, if you know what I mean, okay? Not everyone deserves to be on your team, all right? But you got to select them accordingly to based on what your goals are and what core values are, all right? And I'll tell you guys, I'll share you guys this quick tip on the cost of choosing wrong team members. In my early years, my first 3 years, 4 years in the business, all right, I made 5 mistakes because I chose 5 people who had the wrong core values, and I didn't find it until later on, all right? Those 5 people, 5 team members, cost me $500,000 in losses. It was a huge lesson, $500,000 in losses, but guess what? I'm still here. I learned my lesson, and I don't want you guys to learn the lesson like I did the hard way. I want to give you guys that advice right now, so that way you can save yourself $500,000, all right? All right, are there any questions?
Yes, we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Okay, our first question asks, do you have an attorney that you work with in the area?
Yes, we do. So if you have a question about that and you want a referral, depending on what you need, feel free to email us at info@nhanlamacademy, and we'll introduce you to them to see if they can help you, okay?
Okay, and we have another question. This is from Jim. He asks, what is a good place to network and meet some of the better team resources?
Great question. Well, we've created a great community within our meetup group. Now, unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't had a live seminar in person in a very long time, and we don't expect to have one again until either 2022 or at the earliest sometime this fall. So there are events out there on meetup.com to where you can join a real estate community. Go there and find out what kind of investors are there. Are they contractors? Are they fix and flippers? Are they buy and hold investors? Are they lenders? What kind of people are going to these meetups? And when you go there face to face, make sure you have your business cards ready, exchange information, and start networking and finding what people do. And what I've done is I've gone to these meetups in the past prior to COVID. And if I find someone that I feel like I have a very good vibe with, I'll invite them for coffee, or I'll invite them for lunch, or I'll meet them at Starbucks or Panera Bread or whatnot, and get to know them, what their business is, and ask how we can work together to have a win-win relationship. If I find that we can work with them, they're in my network now that I can use down the road. So that's one way for you to network. Also, we also have a Facebook community page to where we have a lot of other team members who are not only real estate investors, but people who service the real estate investor community also, such as title companies, attorneys, contractors, and so forth. They're within our Facebook group. So feel free to join and follow our Facebook group. If you have a question there, feel free to message to everybody, say, hey, or post something, say, hey, I'm looking for a contractor, or I'm looking for, whatever. Post that, and then I'm sure someone will respond with someone that you can that can help you out in any given area. Our goal is to create that community for you guys virtually online until we get back in person at our live meetings.
Okay. Albert says that he has a house under contract in PG County in Fort Washington.
Oh, congratulations. All right. Well, I'll tell you, if your numbers are right, you have no problem selling it. So if you want to email that deal to us at info@nhanlamacademy, what you want to do is include the property address and let us know how much you're trying to sell it for. All right. What we'll do is we're going to do our analysis to see if the numbers work. And if the numbers do work, we can easily promote it within our network to help you assign that. And we can work on the details on how that works for us also, because a lot of people who are within our student base that we have trained from our boot camps in the past or our Academy subscription, what we have done is that when they get a deal under contract, they may not have an end buyer list yet. So they can send it to us. We'll analyze it to make sure the numbers fit. If it does fit, we'll send it out to our list. And we find someone, we'll work with you on getting that contract assigned for you on your behalf. So that way you can make some money. If this is your first deal, that's awesome. If this is not your first deal, then I'm sure you can remember the thrill of getting that assignment check, right?
All right. We have one more question. This is from Camille, and she asks, where would you find someone to team up with if you have no experience with?
Okay, so if you have no experience whatsoever, what I would do is continue attending these things, okay? And don't let people that you're new, okay? What I mean by that is that, when experienced people hear that you're new, they immediately shut you down because they didn't have time for that. When I was new at some point too, but I never came off as new, even though I was new, all right? So I say, hey, listen, I'm looking for a rehab deal in this county. I'm looking for these numbers, blah, blah, blah. I sounded like I knew what I was doing, but I'm still learning, okay? And along the way, I listen a lot, all right? I talk very little and I listen a lot so that way I can learn. So let's say I'm looking at a property. Someone sends me a lead for a property. I'm talking to the seller. I may not know what I'm doing, but I'm going to the property with a contractor. That contractor doesn't know if I've done a deal or not, but I'm listening on what needs to be done. I say, hey, I see this wall is cracking. What should we do? Let him talk. That way you listen, right? Hey, I noticed that there's mold here. What should we do? Let him notice that, and and then listen. So, this will be a process you're learning, okay? Short of taking one of our boot camps, you can do that the slow way, or you can also attend our Academy subscription. It gives you detailed information on what to do to gain more experience. So that way, when you do meet the contractor, you will know what you're talking about. And I must admit, I was new, but I also took a lot of training while I was new. So when I went in the field and talked, I spoke as if I knew what I was doing because I took so much training, all right? So get educated. Don't advertise that you're new so much. Admit to yourself in the mirror that you're new, but don't advertise it too much because that can sway people from wanting to work with you, if that makes sense. Okay? So hope that helps out.
All right.
If you go to our website at Jan Lam Academy, there's a free trial there. You can watch some of our videos and get some more experience. And that way you can, kind of get the lingo of what real estate investors talk about, the acronyms, the language, and so forth.
All right, we have one more question.
Okay.
All right. They asked, do you have any suggestions for someone that has been doing single family and wants to move to multifamily?
Absolutely. I love multifamily, okay? All right, now me personally, I have a group of people who do multifamily. They syndicate financing and deals based on certain preferred returns and also principal returns after equity growth. So how do you transition to that? First of all, it's a completely different mindset, all right? When you're renovating and doing capital expenditures and improving properties for multifamily, it's different than single family, all right? Because most of the time it's just cosmetic. You're just changing carpet, you're doing paint, you're changing appliances. You don't really need permits for those things. Whereas a single family home, it might be a house that's 80 years old and you need permits to do everything, which is a big hassle because of wherever county you're in, the permits are a big hassle. So what do you do to move into that? First of all, get familiar with the language, right? What does net operating income mean? What does capital expenditures mean? How do you know what's a good deal? What kind of analyzing tools can you use? All right. In fact, what I would recommend is that one of our topics towards later this year, I believe it's August or September, is how to invest in multifamily. Definitely don't miss that one because the trainer that's going to be training there has already owned thousands of units who can easily, and he was a fix and flipper as well before. All right. And now he owns thousands of units in multifamily. So definitely don't mix that to hear his story. And just surround yourself with other people who do multifamily. So that way you can, same thing on how you learn how to do single family. You got to do the same thing with multifamily. Learn the lingo, build that network, join a community, learn the process, learn how to analyze, and then learn what the thinking is with multifamily. How do you increase net operating income based on the current conditions? How do you increase rents? What else can you do creatively to be able to expand that value of that building, whether it be 100 units, 120 units, or 200 units or whatnot? There's always a way to increase net operating income, so that way you increase the value of the property. All right. So unlike single family home where it's on an appraisal and comparables, multifamily, there is no appraisal or not comparable. It's the same way single family does. Instead, they look at your business operations on how much your net operating income is, and based on that will dictate the value of your building. Okay.
Oh, this is a follow-up. This is interesting. Have you dealt with opportunity zone properties?
Great question. Me personally, I have not because I don't live near an opportunity zone, but I have heard of people who have. And these are more people for long-term investments, whether they build a multifamily building or a mixed-use building or even some single-family units to be able to improve a neighborhood in a particular zip code that's designated as an opportunity zone or low-income area. They get tax abatements, they get grants, they get all kinds of different things. But of course, because it's the government, you have to go through a lot of paperwork, and they have to understand that you have the ability to perform and do it right based on the portfolio. So if you don't have the portfolio of investments in those types of areas yet, then you can always partner with someone to have them sponsor you, so that way you can use their credibility to do those kinds of things, so you can qualify for those grants and also tax abatements.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks like that's all the questions that we have tonight, Jan.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the question, guys. I hope this has been very productive for you. I want to let you guys know that next month we will have another meetup on July 14th, which is the second Wednesday at 7 p.m. And our topic is going to be buy and hold and property management, which is the key to wealth. We will be having a guest speaker as well, who's our property manager, and go through what he does as a property manager. So at some point here, you'll be seeing a little button on top for you to click on to be able to RSVP for that event. Now, if you don't see the button, you can go to our website at www.nhanlamacademy.com, click on the events tab, and then click on the July 14th event to RSVP there. That way you can secure your spot. There's the button right there. There's a little gold button that says click here, so you can go ahead and register for the next event. Okay, so with that, guys, I hope tonight was very productive. I hope you got some great content, and our outreach program is working. So we look forward to see you guys next month to do more outreach with the next topic of buy and hold and property management. Thank you very much, and have a great night.